Hello, everyone, and welcome to Colorado Career Connectors. I am Chelle Johnson, and we're just a few minutes away from getting started. This is at your lunchtime, so we are here to help you with professional development and career development. If you can, please put yourself on video. We are quite informal here, and we just really want to see you. As speakers, it's very hard to just look at black screens. So we want to see you. We're very participative. We want you to be engaged, interactive, and ask as many questions as you'd like throughout this session. We'll get started in about 2 to 3 minutes, and the session is being recorded. And if this is your first time with Colorado Career Connectors, let us know. We welcome you. We are so happy you are here. We'll get started in just a few minutes. In the meantime, I'd like to introduce my Director of Operations, Yvette Bell. Yvette, if you can say hi.
Hello, not on mute this time. Nice
Wonderful.
to see you all.
And then put in where you are dialing in from. We have people from California, Texas, New Jersey, some of the North and South Carolina, Texas, etc. So let us know where you're dialing in from. I see some folks in the chat. That's awesome. From Denver. Hi, Jordan. Welcome. Karina from Colorado. Larry from North Carolina. How are you? Awesome to see all of you.
Hi, Chelle.
Hi, Larry. Hi, Jean. It's wonderful to have you. We'll get started in just a few minutes while we let some other folks in because it's just right now noon. I'm super excited about today. We are going to talk about stop job boarding and how you can find the hidden job market. If you are new to us, please put in your information. Please let us know how we can help you, what brought you here today, how you heard about Colorado Career Connectors. And we're starting to let a lot more people in, so just be a little bit patient with us. Again, we're very informal here. If you can put yourself on video, we'd love to see you. We love participation and interaction. I'm Chelle Johnson. I'm the founder of Colorado Career Connectors and also Best You Career Advantage, and I welcome you as we get more people. I'm thinking we need some right. I love some Pitbull, and yes, I will be doing Zumba to this song. Meredith, I know that you love some Pitbull as well. Okay, well, while others are joining us, we want to go ahead and get started. If this is your first time to Colorado Career Connectors, we are so glad that you're here. So grateful that you're going to be spending time with us, no matter what time zone that you are in. I love to bring a lot of energy to the career search, to career development and professional development, because I know, especially over the past 20 months, how hard it has been for many of you, whether you're a job seeker, you are going to be, or are part of the Great Resignation. The next hour, our hope for you is that you get a little bit of hope, that you have nuggets of what you can personally do to stop job boarding and intentionally design your next opportunity. I'm going to introduce Meredith Massey in just a few minutes because we are so grateful and so excited to have her here. And I want to introduce myself to you. If I have not met you, I'm Chelle Johnson. I am out of Denver, Colorado, and I left corporate America in 2019, about 2 years ago. I led talent acquisition for Comcast, for Lockheed Martin, and I've worked at really big companies. So I absolutely understand what it is to implement ATS systems, be the head of talent, bring in over 1,500 people per year. But that got to be a little too much for me. I wanted to live and be my best self, my authentic self, which is why I named my company Best You, because my goal, my heart and my soul is about helping others to be their best with their vision, their mental fitness. And lucky enough, I am an award-winning strategist and career developer for those people who feel stuck, overwhelmed, lost, disconnected. My clients' average right now is a 32% increase in pay. And I have fast-tracked many careers to either advancement opportunities or to their next job. I'm a master connector. And what I mean by that is that I have almost 10,000 people in my LinkedIn, and I find jobs for people. I help people interact with the heads of talent that they usually would never have access to. So if I can personally help you, put some time on my calendar. I am a very informal person, and I absolutely love what I do. What I do is that I help you amplify your awesome. And I do that through 7 steps. The first is with your vision and purpose, and then through mental fitness. And we're going to start a career movement in 2022. And by that, I mean allowing every part of your life to be moved in the direction that you want. Whether it's you want to have a better job, you want to have deeper relationships, you want to really focus holistically on how you live spiritually, emotionally, mentally. That's what we're going to start in 2022 is a movement so that you can absolutely be your best. Once you are, all of the strategies, all of the tactics with consistency and positivity are exactly how you amplify your awesome. I'm very excited that you're here today to amplify your awesome and to stop job boarding, because no one likes the drone of applying to job after job. How many of you love just looking at job boards and think it's the most fun you're going to have ever? Put it out there like, oh, wow, it's really fun, right? That's what Meredith and I are going to talk with you about today. So if you hate it, you're in the right place. So find some nuggets in this next conversation. I am also excited to let you know that Colorado Career Connectors has a whole new look. We are at www.cocareerconnectors.com. Take a look out there to get our YouTube channel on past events and future events. And to stay updated, please subscribe to this. We are going to blow this meetup group up in 2022. Because our goal is to bring those companies that need you the most directly to you so that you have more opportunities and much more impact with those companies that you most want. So take a look. We're really proud of that, and Yvette Bell developed that for us. So very grateful for her. Something I started last week is that I would like to highlight one of the job seekers in my community. And today I'd like to turn it over to Megan Haverkamp, who is an account manager in business development. And this is her opportunity to tell you about her so that you can network. This is all about networking. So Megan, why don't you take it from here and tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're looking for?
Certainly. Thank you, Chelle. So my name is Megan Haverkamp, and I am here in Colorado. I live here with my husband and 2 daughters and my wonderful black lab. In my previous role, I was an account manager with business development and field marketing as well, in the accounting and finance industry, where I helped individuals pursue their career through professional development, primarily in certification. I'm currently looking for a role, mostly in the account management business development area. I'm open to other industries as well. I'm one of Shelle's clients, and like many of us right now, going through this process is very difficult. The rejection, the not hearing, all the different advice that comes from different areas and trying to filter it. So she has been a godsend. I went through the Positive Intelligence program, which was so valuable, so valuable. It really puts you in a positive mindset, teaches you ways to do that, and so that you can embrace this process in a much more positive avenue. What I really liked about the program is the pod, which is a group of us that went through it together, so you don't feel alone. They were individuals that you didn't know in the beginning, but by the end are very close to. You're going through the process together, and it's really a psychologically safe environment as you go through it. I also, I think, was on one of Shelle's first Colorado Connectors presentations, and I attend them religiously, mostly because she has such good speakers and you can learn so much. And again, it's a community where you just realize you're not in this alone, sitting all day on the LinkedIn or all the job boards or anything. You're not alone. We're all here. We can network. People have given me referrals and references to look at, and it's been invaluable. All right.
Awesome. So definitely get to know Megan. We started with our first client highlight last week with Ambrish Mehrotra, and he had 7 phone calls because of this. So this really is about community. It's about creating stories. It's about connection, and it's about community. So if this is your first time, let us know how we can help you in your community. So awesome. Thank you, Megan. I would love to connect with you. Here's all the info. I'd also love to invite you to light up your LinkedIn with a very good friend of mine and past Colorado Career Connector speaker. Her name is Lisa Carmen. She will be presenting to us on the 13th of December. And we really want you to light up your LinkedIn and to start 2022 with a movement. Moving something and being different so that you can show up and light up your new year. Okay, Meredith, it's your turn. I would like to introduce everyone to Meredith Masse. Meredith and I got to know each other as I was moving through a transition. Meredith used to work at ICC, which is another career transition group, and she ran a group for HR leaders. And she is highly respected all over the nation. She is someone to get to know, but just as you might feel, she felt the calling to do something a little different. She's now a management consultant at Blue Beyond Consulting. And so Meredith, I'd like to turn the time over to you, and for all of our audience, get ready for some fun and interaction. Meredith, go ahead.
Hi, everyone, and thank you so much for inviting me, Shelley, and everyone else for attending today and being here with us. I do not have any formal slides. I am going to use the whiteboard today to draw some pictures for you to take some notes about a framework that I've developed to help job seekers to, like Shelley said, stop job boarding and start with you first and understanding what you really want before you get onto, Indeed and start clicking around and look at something and go, yeah, I mean, I guess I could do that. That sounds pretty interesting. Or, oh, or maybe this other one. It's really reverse engineering the job search and starting with you first versus hanging out on the job boards first. So if the host could give me screen sharing permission, that would be lovely. And we'll pull up the whiteboard and do a little drawing. And while that's happening, I'll give you a little bit about my background. Let's go back, a couple of years or so. It was within the first, dozen years in my own professional life that I literally remember one specific day, hot, humid, Washington, D.C. suburb, summer day. And I was walking from my Virginia suburb townhouse down the street to catch the bus that I would take then to the DC Metro. Then I would take the Metro in and walk another little bit to my office. It was about an hour and a half commute each way. And you guys, I was commuting, 15 hours a week. So an hour and a half each way, every day, 5 days a week, 15 hours a week, to a job that I didn't love. And this day, as I got down to the end of my street and I could see the bus stop, and there it went, bus rolled right on by because there was nobody standing at the bus stop yet. I thought, well, shoot, only maybe a little stronger. Now what am I going to do? I literally trudged back up the street and thought, well, I have to get in my car and start this commute from square one. But just like that bus, I kept right on walking. I kept right on going past my car. Unlocked the door, went into my house, dropped my stuff, locked myself in, sort of plodded up the stairs, put my PJs back on, called in sick, and crawled under the covers. And I thought, how did I get here? And not here in my bed, but how did I get here in my professional life? I didn't know what I wanted to do when I grew up. I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up. And yet in that moment, I thought, whatever it was, even though I didn't know, this is not it. And it took me another dozen years to come up with this idea about, how do I get more intentional about what I want versus simply submitting my resume and interviewing for jobs that my resume said I could do. So this is really all about almost taking control back of what you are, put on this earth to accomplish. So today what I would love to do is share this career decision filter live with you today. And I need to rearrange just a bit to make sure that I can type and do what's necessary. Oh, and by the way, let's because there's a book. At some point, there will be a book. There you go. But take notes. Draw this picture that we're going to draw together today. Come off mute, ask questions. Shelley, help me prompt a great conversation here, okay? Because this is all about helping you all start to see your job search in a very different way. We're going to talk about 3 distinct areas, and just please go with the flow here and pretend like these circles are all the same size. That's pretty close. And of course, interconnected. So here's your first, oh, we got to move that one. Here's your
While she's
first.
drawing these circles, I want to let you know that Meredith presented this about 7 months ago when we first started Colorado Career Connectors. This has been one of the most popular sessions, so that's why I asked her to come back. So many of my clients have loved the content, so make sure you have a pen and a paper, or you're typing what is she's doing, or you're taking screenshots, because this is gold nuggets of information for you. How to switch. So I just wanted to let people know, if they haven't seen this, they're in for a really good guide. And
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks, Chelle. I appreciate that. I appreciate those words of blessing. I guess otherwise I wouldn't be back for a second time, right?
Well, honey, you're a good friend of mine, so you can come back whenever you want to.
All right. These 3 circles are the things that we need to think about in order to get intentional about finding a job that's not just a paycheck. Now, if you tell me, look, Meredith, I've been out of work for a while and I just need a paycheck to keep the lights on, put a roof over my head, and put dinner on the table, like, I get that. Do that. And in the back of your head, keep these things in mind for that job or the next job, so that you can start to work your way towards work or a work life that you'll love, so that work no longer feels like that 4-letter word. You know the one. It starts with a P. I'm just kidding. So that it does feel like play versus work. All right. So the first thing we're going to talk about is what. This is what is your what? And specifically what we're talking about here is your function. What function do you fill? I'm not talking about your title. We're not worrying about that yet. What we're talking about is, duties and responsibilities in your job. The second one we'll talk about is your why. The why you get out of bed every morning to go do what you do. And what we're talking about here is meaning, or meaningful work. I believe, and I think Chelle probably does too, that everyone wants meaningful work. The beautiful thing here, friends, is you get to decide what is meaningful to you and what meaningful work looks like for you. The last one we'll talk about is the where. Where do you get to go and do your what for something that you are at least interested in? And so we'll talk a little bit about, I always have to say it out loud, environment, the where you do this fabulous work that you do. When you get more specific about these things, the opportunities will start to reveal themselves to you. I don't mean to sound like woo-woo or anything, but who on here, let's see if I can expand my view to see more people. But, either raise your physical hand or your electronic hand. Who on here has ever purchased a new to you car? Maybe it wasn't brand new, but new to you, right? Okay. And how many of you knew which car you wanted before you purchased it? Look, Jordan's like, boop, right there. And Jordan, every time you went out in your old car before you bought the new car, did you start to notice that like every other car on the road was that car that you wanted? Am I right? Yes, he's nodding his head. So same thing with me. A few years ago in 2016, I bought I bought my second car ever. We drive cars until they die at the Massey household. And the 2000 Honda Accord in 2016, it was time to upgrade. And I thought, well, I live in Colorado. I have 2 Labrador retrievers. I guess it's time to get my Subaru. And I thought, well, I've had a red car for a long, long time, so I think I want a blue one. Do you know every other car on the road was a blue Subaru? The same thing is true, I believe, when you get serious about describing what your career looks like, or that, somewhat ideal job looks like. It will be more apparent to you when it's time for you to go there. This is the decision filter to help you determine throughout the rest of your career. Some of your definitions here may change over time, and maybe should. But you can use this framework for the rest of your professional lives. Let's jump in and get a little more specific. Let's start with the what. The what you do all day, every day. Well, all day, 9 to 5-ish in your day job. When you think about your what, so first we're defining your what from your perspective, so that as you look at ads on job boards and you talk to people that you get connected with because of this fantastic group, you know what you want to do. Number 1, let's call it current skills. What do you know how to do? And let me put a caveat in here. What do you know how to do that you want to continue doing? I'm going to give you an example of sort of what not to do. I happen to know how to manipulate pivot tables in Excel. You will never see that on a resume, on my LinkedIn. I don't want to be known as the pivot table gal. The only reason why I use pivot tables is because it takes this much data and makes it into this much data, which is a little easier to wrap my brain around. But you'll never see, so if there's a current skill that you have, and Chelle in our Career Buzz group that I used to run for HR professionals, a lot of them would say, oh my God, payroll. I mean, I know how to do payroll, but please, I'd rather stick a hot poker in my eye than ever do payroll again. My response is, get the payroll bullet off of your resume. Get the payroll paragraph out of your LinkedIn profile. So if it's a current skill that you love to do and that you love to apply, keep it in there. Again, if you'd rather stick a hot poker in your eye, then let's not talk about you as the go-to person for that. Make sense?
Meredith, I also want to chat about, this is a candidate's market, and candidates do have choices. I have many clients that are getting 2, 3 offers, and they are doing it through, what do you want to do? What is your vision and purpose?
Yes.
I know, right? Yes, that's the spiral of awesome movement that we want people to move into what they love doing. So my advice is, what are the current skills that you love doing, and what are the new skills that you want to learn?
Yes.
There's so many ways to do that.
Yep. Yeah. And so number 2 is, great employers probably expect you to be able to come in and do a pretty darn good job at whatever it is they're hiring you to do. I would say great employers don't expect you to be perfect. And if there is an opportunity that's out there that fits everything else, and you think, well, but I don't know how to do, numbers 7 and 8 on the job description, my God, but you want to learn them, then that's a great opportunity. So what new skills do you want to acquire and learn? Goes into your thinking about your what when we talk about this career design idea. The next one is experience. This is a little bit broader than skills. But if you have experience in a specific industry, for an example, and that's an industry that you love, or you have specific experience with, I don't know, dealing with boards of directors, and you want that to be a part of your new job. That's what I mean by experience. A little bit broader. It's not pivot tables, but it's, for example, I spent 8 years in the travel industry. So that might be part of the experience that I want to tout because I want to attract that kind of new job.
Meredith,
Mhm.
along with that, what you were saying is employers want to hire for attitude. And so many women, especially if they see all these qualifications, they might think, I'm not qualified for that.
Uh-huh.
I want you as women or BIPOC or underrepresented, you do have the skills. You just have to communicate your story in a different way and do apply for those jobs. Definitely.
There's a story, I don't know the actual statistics, Shelley, but they say that, men will read a job description and say, hey, I got 6 out of 10. I got this. I'm going for it. And they'll apply. And women will see it and go, oh, I only have 8 out of 10. I'm not qualified. No, throw that out the window and go for it, because you just never know. And the answer is no before you've even applied if you never send in your resume, right? The last one here under the what you do, let's talk about my favorite, and to me, the single most important element under the what is your strengths, your natural talents. What do you do best because it's simply just what your brain does? Are you a gatherer of information and analyzer? Are you the sort of natural project manager, like you see where we're starting from, you see the end, and you instantly know all of the steps in between to get us from here to there? Are you the brainstormer, the one who is always looking for like the next big idea, the next big thing, and your brain is just going 90 to nothing with different ideas all the time? Are you a builder? Are you somebody who naturally produces tangible things? Those are just 4 ways to think about it. But what do you do best? StrengthsFinder is a great tool to use for that. So is the Colby A Index is a fantastic tool to use for that. And I'm sure there are others. Those are 2 of my favorites. But do not deny yourself looking for something that fits what your brain does best naturally. Remember how I said I spent the first at least dozen or more years of my professional life chasing what my resume said I could do. The problem was that on Sunday nights, pretty much without fail, I felt literally sick to my stomach in anticipation of the work week ahead. And it wasn't until I took an assessment that helped accelerate my thinking around this idea of, I felt sick to my stomach because those jobs for 15 years forced me to swim upstream and pushed me against my natural grain. And I kept chasing them because it's what my resume said I could do. But my brain is hardwired to think and make decisions and solve problems very differently than what those jobs required. So if you figure out, what does my brain do best? Yeah, I'm the brainstormer, I'm the planner, I'm the builder, I'm the analyzer. And that job your ideal job will require you to do what your brain does best. Holy cow, people, that's a good fit. At least the beginning of a good fit. let's talk about what else goes into this. Well, let me pause there for a second. I'm talking 90 to nothing because I love sharing this information. Are there any questions that are popping up? I'm not keeping an eye on the chat.
I'm just putting in how many of you know that Sunday night feeling of just being on autopilot and dreading that next day. So we'd love to see some comments with that. I've been putting out there, Meredith, do not deny yourself the opportunity to find something that your brain does automatically. I love that.
Yeah, and I love your mental fitness idea here that you know, StrengthsFinder is one that can give you some umbrella talents that come naturally to you. The Colby A gets a little more granular and helps us understand how you do what you do. And it helps us understand how you most naturally solve problems, make decisions, and take action. So put a bunch of this together and you'll be unstoppable. It will vastly accelerate your own self-awareness and self-knowledge around what you do best. All right, let's go on to the why you do what you do. Again, meaningful work. What does meaningful work look like to you? One question to ask is, who or what is the beneficiary of your good work? And maybe the who or what falls into one of these 4 ideas. Number 1, people. Chelle, how many times do you have clients come to you and say, Chelle, I just want to help people. I love working with people. And every time I hear that, I'm like, yes, me too. I'm totally a people person. And guess what my next question is? Who are the people?
Yep. Who are the people?
Who are the people that you want to help? Is it, you know, leaders in an organization? Is it at-risk teens? Is it doctors? Is it, I don't know, women returning to the workforce after a hiatus? The more specific you get about defining who your people are, the more we narrow in on this ideal. The second one is information. And let's go back up here and write that. Information, otherwise known as a body of knowledge. Did I spell it right? I hope so.
You did.
Maybe your why is to advance the body of knowledge around a specific topic. I want to advance the body of knowledge around the next greatest app to help job seekers find a new job. I want to advance the body of knowledge around finding the cure for cancer. Again, the beauty here is you get to decide. I have a friend who is a professor at the University of Oklahoma, and her entire life's work has been around studying the works of Geoffrey Chaucer. Who remembers Canterbury Tales from like junior or senior year of high school? Oh, that was a couple of years ago or more for me. Thanks, Christiane. That's her why, is understanding and studying the works of Geoffrey Chaucer and then teaching that to other students. So for her, it's a combination of information and people. The next one is objects. Think practical things. I'm an engineer. I'm so not an engineer. Let's pretend. I'm an engineer and I want to build bridges that connect this part of the land to this part of the land over some body of water. Now, if I say I'm an engineer who wants to create the safest bridges and get awards for safety to help people get from one side of the river to the other as safely as possible. That's objects and people. If it's, I want to be an engineer and build bridges and study the latest, greatest technology and materials, maybe that's objects and information. Is this making sense? One more here, the arts. Creativity for the sake of creativity. Think of, you know, it could be dance, pottery, performing arts, painting, not practical, but creativity for the sake of creativity. Now, if you say, I want to create art that drives people to change their mind about diversity in the workplace. That could be the arts, people, and information. If you say, I want to be an architect and I want to win architectural awards for building beautiful buildings that are also safe, but really my goal is creativity. That could be objects and the arts. Think, yeah, here, I'll put this in here. Creativity for the sake of creativity. It's hard to type when you know people are watching. And then let's go through the last one, and then I want you to fire all of your questions at me. Your where or environment. Number one, place and space. Where are you going to do what you do best for something that you feel like is meaningful? Where do you go? Do you go anywhere? For me, it's, you know, quick walk down the hall from my room to my office. Do you commute? If so, how far are you willing to commute? Once you get to your place, what does your personal space look like? Do you have a dedicated office? Maybe you have a door. Or are you happiest if you're in a more modern workspace where you book a different room every day for a change of scenery? I have had a client in Boulder, Colorado, where they had cute little like cubbies with, it was like a restaurant booth style table in the middle and a sliding glass door, and you booked a room, whichever one you wanted to work in that day. If you didn't want to do that, you could sit at a big conference table that had swings for chairs. And some people had dedicated space as well. But what's that ideal place and space for you? Here's a cautionary tale. When I first started to figure out these three things and how they fit together, and then applied it to myself, I said, after that hour and a half each way commute, 5 days a week, every day in DC, when we moved to Colorado, I said, I will never, ever, ever, ever times infinity commute again. Well, I then took a job in Denver. I live in Colorado Springs. It was about an hour away. I was willing to commute again because I knew it was only 3 days a week, 2 days from home, and the rest of the definition that I had at the time for my what and why was spot on. So I was willing to compromise that commute because everything else was a fit. That's my cautionary tale. Never say never times infinity. All right. Who do you work with? Who else is in this space? Because they make up part of the environment too, don't they? And maybe even the first question is, do I even work with people? Are you a solopreneur? Or are you going into a team? Or is it you and one boss? What does that look like? if you have teammates, if you have a boss, what do they look like? And by look like, I mean, do you share something in common? And how are you a value add to the team with your quirks and personality and sense of humor, etc.? I worked in on that day that I missed the bus and went home and pulled the covers back over my head. I was working in a publishing company, and everyone was very serious. And we published news from Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C. That is not my jam. Like, Chelle, I'm surprised you're not laughing, because that is so not my jam.
Meredith, that is so not your jam. I was thinking about an experience I had like that too, where so serious and so conservative and so like not our jam. How many of you know what that's like to be put in a square peg in a round hole? About how uncomfortable that is?
Yeah, literally, Chelle, I had to check a part of my personality, indeed a part of my soul, at the door every day for that job. Plus my boss changed and the new one was not a good person, and the whole thing started to crumble. So think about who are the people and what's important to you in terms of who you work with. Oh, I clicked out of it, so now we got to start over. All right, number 3. This is a big one, y'all. Culture. What is the culture of the organization and the team? You know, let's talk about values. Do your values align with the values of the organization and or your team? And culture is even bigger than that, but I believe it starts with values. You know, if you say, gosh, I really want to be in an organization that values personal development, what questions are you going to ask to know if the organization is going to support you in your own personal and professional development? And that also brings up the next one, which is compensation and benefits. And yes, it goes in the where, because that is all about, you know, the company. So let's use that example again of professional development is really important to you. Well, what kind of benefits does the company have to put their money where their mouth is in terms of, yep, we support you in your professional development? Is there a budget for you to go and get a certification or some training every year? Do they have tuition reimbursement? And more. But think about how culture and comp and benefits are tied together so that you can ask for what's important to you as you're going through this process. Now, hopefully you can see when you define these things for yourself, the what you do in your role, when you're firing on all cylinders, you're using your strengths, you're using the skills that you love, you're learning some new skills, you're bringing in some past experience. What does that look like? What's your what? And the why. The why do I get out of bed every morning? Is it to help support people? Is it to advance a body of knowledge? Is it information? Is it objects? Am I creating practical things at the end of the day? Is it creativity for the sake of creativity, or some combination of 2, 3, or all 4 of those? And lastly, the where. What does it look like where you get to do your best work for something that is meaningful to you? The place, the space, the people, the culture, and how are they treating you in terms of compensation and benefits? to help you feel, to help you know that this is the place that you belong. The last thing I'm going to point out is notice that I draw my Venn diagram very purposely to not have those 3 circles intersect in a single point. That means there are options out there, you guys. How can I do this? Spotlight? I don't know. Boop. Nope, that's still text. I was going to try to draw. But pretend like I'm spotlighting. Right in here. There are options out there. And just like Jordan's car and my car, when you have an idea of what it looks like, your brain will start to tune into opportunities that make you say, maybe I need to check this one out. Maybe I need to have a conversation about it because it seems like it might fit. The other beauty of this decision filter is that when you have an idea of your what, your why, and your where, you can come up with the questions that you need to ask in interviews to know if this is the place that will allow you to do what you do best for something that is meaningful to you. I'm a huge fan of the reverse behavior question, right? You all have been asked them, I'm sure. Tell me about a time when you had to deal with a difficult personality, et cetera, et cetera. Ask those same questions back. Hey, future potential boss, tell me about a time when the team didn't meet its goals. What did you do about it? You'll get a much more authentic answer than if you say, so tell me about your management style. And then you'll start to have some answers to some of your questions that you've developed based on knowing what you want, what you intentionally are looking for. This is the goal, somewhere in here. Can you work in other places on this graph? Absolutely, I did it. I worked here for 8 years. It was a great company. My boss was great. The benefits at the time were spectacular. And it was a travel company. So it fueled my passion for travel. Yet I was sick to my stomach every Sunday night because this was not a fit. And it, again, forced me to swim upstream every day. I'm going to stop there.
We have a question from Larry. Are there any assessments or tests out there where you can, that help you figure out your where and your why?
So one good place to start is with any kind of a values assessment. And there's a really easy one that you can do online. And of course, I'm not going to remember it, but I can find that and either send it to Chelle and have her connect with you, Larry, or feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn, and I'd be happy to share the name of that.
Since this is recorded, we do send this out to everyone, and we include notes in there so people can follow up and take action on those. Meredith, you want to send it to me and Yvette? We will absolutely provide that for you. The way that I would answer that question is I've actually had my clients go back and watch the first session that you did. And in our coaching together, they answer these questions like, what are your current skills, your new skills, your strengths? Where is the size of company? Who are the people? What is the culture and the values? What's the compensation and benefits? So that we get really clear on and all of that. Eric just put something in there.
Be a character. Cool.
Yeah, Beth, thank you for participating. And research-based survey that tagged your character. Wonderful, via character. Thank you. This is why we're a community, because you might know things off the top of your head that we haven't seen and vice versa. And that's the great piece about creating this connection of
Mhm.
community. So Larry, I hope that answers your question, and you and I can chat about offline about that.
Nice.
Yeah, what other questions do you have from the audience?
Now is the time. Don't make me start singing.
Because then you and I'll start singing together, right?
Here's another one for you, Larry, too. I'll put it in the chat. It's called OpGig, and it takes a very holistic look at interests. So that kind of fits under why, plus what your brain does best, plus, plus, plus. And what I love about OpGig is it will give you an idea of, your top 20 job or career areas that you can say, you might look at one or two on the list and say, never in a million years. All right, cross those off. But maybe there's one or two in there that might be worth exploring. The other thing it does is it gives you a list of like your bottom 20. Like, don't even think about going into these fields because these fields require something different than what your brain does best, and it doesn't mesh with your interests. What's other questions? Was it any specific questions about any of the wrestling through any of these pieces that I've shared?
Once you go through the decision filter, what is the next step to stop scrolling the job boards?
Eric, that is such a great question. With the help of your career coach, you can start to figure out then what are the types of roles that fit this? What are the types of companies that fit this? And then you start going to the job boards looking specifically for those roles and those companies. And please go beyond the job board. If you find a company that sounds kind of interesting and it sounds like a where that you might enjoy, get on LinkedIn, find somebody in that company and do some networking. Ask for an informational interview. Ask them, hey, I know you're busy. I'm really interested in your company and your role sounds awesome. Fluff them up, fluff their ego a little bit and say, I'd love to tap into your genius and learn a little bit more about your company. Can I buy you a virtual cup of coffee? I'll send you a Zoom link. And would you spend 15 minutes telling me about your experience at XYZ?
I can't stress enough how important that is, because it's so important that once you know this, that you find those companies that align with your values, align with the culture, have the compensation and benefits that you're looking for. The way you can look at that is, what are the best places to work? Built in Colorado is now just serving small, medium, and large and extra large businesses for that. The Denver Post, Colorado Biz, all of these different areas have reports. You can also look at the Denver Business Journal for doing research. It's called A Book of Lists, and it's a big book that is provided every year. Let me take myself off of this background so that you can see what I'm talking about.
And while you're doing that, I'll say, if you're not in the Denver area or not in Colorado, you likely have some kind of a business journal in your city, and see if they do a similar book of lists, and look at who's winning awards for being a great place to work, whether they call it best places to work, best companies to work for, and potentially target some of those. Another one from the Denver Business Journal, Chelle, is the annual giving guide. I think that's what it's called.
Yes, absolutely.
it reports on companies that either give time and or money to causes that they are passionate about. And so if a company that has some kind of social do-gooderness, I'm making up words now, is important to you, that is a great place to look. And I'm sure other cities do it as well.
Other cities absolutely do that. And there's a really great question out here where you might not have the confidence to actually have those zone of genius conversations. Do people actually do them? There are people on the call right now that were scared of that same thing, Eric, and they went through positive intelligence and they got the confidence, the mental fitness, the leaning into you are not a burden. Megan, for example, used to be afraid of doing that. Larry used to be afraid of doing that. And so many of my clients, this is how they find you are not a burden, you are worthy, and that judge in your head is lying to you and sabotaging you from a higher compensation, bigger relationships, more money, but most of all, importantly, that connection to yourself. So it's the way that you ask, it's how you tee it up, and knowing that confidence is in you is really vital in what we do. Absolutely. Meredith, I see you shaking your head. Oh yeah, there's Lunch Club out there, which is great. I've overcome this by starting on Lunch Club. They pair you up with other people. So most of my clients are with other accountability partners, and through this community, if someone looked interesting, reach out. You're all in the same arena. You want to grow and develop that career. So if you are your worst critic and you are sabotaging yourself, make a goal to reach out to 2 people. Just start to try. And if I can personally help you, there's several people on this call that know that it absolutely does work. And I'm glad that you are finding great resources. That's wonderful. And, there's other groups in Meetup, Lunch Club, or Donna Shannon does a group as well. Even though we're all coaches, there's enough space for everyone. Our real, authentic, heartfelt is that you find the right person for you to work with. We are a resource here for you. And my specialty is bringing people together that usually would never have the opportunity to meet. So we will follow up with the links. We will follow up with the recording. You will be getting that probably tomorrow morning. And we are coming to, it's 101. Thank you so much, everyone. Is Meredith not amazing? Thank you so much, Meredith. I really, really appreciate you partnering with me today. And Lori, I'm so glad it's been helpful for you. Wayne, awesome to have you here from Copper Mountain. And join us on December 13th. We might be having one more before that on burnout. And I will absolutely be starting 2022 with a career movement and how to build your vision, your purpose, your mental fitness, and you create those stories so that you can make next year so much better from a mental fitness perspective. Meredith, any other comments that you'd like to make before we end?
Not necessarily, but like I said, I think we've posted my LinkedIn address here and there. And even though I have a different day job that doesn't have me paying as much attention to job seekers, my heart is with you 100%. And if I can be a resource to you, I would love to connect with you and see how much trouble we can get into together.
And Meredith and I like to get in a lot of trouble together. So we like to have fun. Thank you so much, Meredith. Please continue to get the word out on Colorado Career Connectors. We want to be a point of contact for everyone in Colorado and out who wants to be their best and move forward in true connection, community, and collaboration. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.